This is where you come for instant post-game reaction.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 6.8. Streaming live at KNBR.com and on the KNBR app.
As Anderson connects for a great free throw shooting in the fourth quarter. The Golden State Warriors with their fifth in a row. They're now 7-1 and remain perfect on the road. 5-0 on the road as the Celtics lose their first home game of the season. Their two Olympic teammates and NBA stars with much respect. This was a fun game, guys.
Yeah, it was a great game in Boston, and the Warriors win 118-112 as we welcome you in here to Dubs OT with JD here on KNBR, the sports leader. 808 KNBR is the number as we react to this one. Are you starting to believe a little bit more in the ceiling of this Golden State Warriors team? Hadn't had a test to this point, but had started the season 6-1, and we talked a lot about it the other night after the Warriors got the win in Washington. The fact that I am a firm believer that you can get your season going with a favorable schedule if you're connected and the pieces fit together and you're ready to roll and your give-up bleep level is at a certain level where you get it together while other teams are trying to figure it out. And then that can, in turn, translate to when you start to play better opponents. And tonight, I think, is a hell of an impressive win for the Golden State Warriors to get it done in Boston. Celtics without a couple of guys, but forget about that. I mean, this is about what the Warriors were able to do after a horrible start to the game offensively. 1 of 11 and 0 of 5 from three. They were turning the ball over. The Celtics were up 14-3 early in this one, and the Warriors, really their defense, the story of the night throughout, but the Warriors defense, the story of the night in the first quarter, and not letting the game completely get out of hand on them to a point where, you know, they got down a massive amount. That 14-3 was the biggest deficit that the Warriors faced in the ball game. So they were able to withstand that and make it a game and put themselves in position to where they were within striking distance, you know, only trailing by 5 at the end of the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, the Warriors took the thing over. Quarter number 2, Golden State outscoring the Celtics 32-16. And again, it was lockdown defense. It was the Warriors bench doing the job after a little bit of a sluggish start offensively overall. And you just look at it, and so many big-time contributions. You know, Buddy Hield, game best plus 20 for the Warriors off the bench, scored 16 points, 4 of 7 from 3. He's playing in crunch time on the road against the Celtics. There are just so many players to shout out tonight on the Warriors front. But 808 KNBR, the number, as we welcome you in here to Dubs OT with JD on the sports leader. Warriors are 7-1. They're 5-0 on the road, and they pick up an impressive win against the defending champions, even without Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. This is a statement win early in the year on November 6th for the Golden State Warriors. So we appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch as folks begin to file in here on KNBR and in the YouTube chat. We love having our regulars and all of our newbies as well in the YouTube chat. And again, we got the phone lines open. We got the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line open. And this is, I think, a game that people across the entire NBA and the national landscape as it relates to the NBA, this is going to be hey, the Warriors might be back on the map type of a game when you look at the way that they were able to get it done against that opponent in that environment. A lot of the talk coming into this game was what Jason Tatum was going to do to the Warriors and Steve Kerr specifically after Kerr didn't play him much in the Olympics. And I think the Celtics had this game circled as one that they wanted to make a little bit of a statement, even shorthanded, but it's the Warriors who make the statement in getting the job done here. So, yeah, who gets your game ball for this one tonight? And just an incredible win. We got Greg Silver here in our San Francisco studios as well. Some quick thoughts from you, Greg, as we kind of let everything line up here on this Wednesday night. I mean, that is a hell of a win for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I am now jumping to the JD side of the board on this team is super serious with their start. And it's not the win that got me there. It's actually the first quarter and the second quarter that got me there, because it was an eerily similar start to last time they were in Boston. Actually, I think it was about 18-18, and then everything just went completely south and out the window. But they immediately dug a hole for themselves, and I decided, okay, they're for real, playing against one of the best opponents in the NBA, a defending champion, because they were able to get back in their game and go into halftime with an 11-point lead because of their defense. The defense dictated the rhythm. The defense dictated the energy. The depth allowed them to have fresh legs when playing defense. And that was the moment where I'm like, hey, you know what? You probably got to play 4 complete quarters to beat this team. They might not have gotten it done, is what it was looking like early in the fourth. And they did. But really, it was the first half that got me thinking, okay, now I'm super serious.
Well, yeah. And I mean, they come from 7 down in the fourth quarter after they had built a 14-point lead at one point. And the Celtics able to come back and lead by 7 after the Warriors had led by as many as 14. So you're thinking, okay, Celtics probably the better team, most recent champion in the NBA, even without a couple of key cogs in Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. But you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a really good test now. The Warriors were tested early in the fact that they got down 14-3. They were tested after they played the excellent defense, which kept them within striking distance in the first quarter, then took the game over in the second. You look at the second half and you knew things were going to be different. The Celtics really came out, weren't turning the ball over. They were not allowing the Warriors to blitz Jason Tatum as much in the second half there, and they got their offense going. It became a more free-flowing, 3-point oriented both ways kind of a offensive game in that third quarter, 41-31 in favor of the Celtics. Celtics able to push ahead in the fourth quarter. And so the Warriors tested on that front as well. Tested early, able to come back, take control, then tested again after they're able to lose the lead and then have the game hanging on the brink in the fourth quarter. Celtics were up 95-88, and Curry had just missed a 3. Wiggins got a bucket. Tatum missed a 3, and then I thought a key play with the Warriors down 5, 95-90, was Stephen Curry being fouled on a 3-pointer where it looked like Kevon Looney committed an illegal screen. The Celtics wanted a review, and the Warriors got away with one. I think on that, no illegal screen from Kevon Looney. Curry hit the 3 free throws to make it a 2-point game, and that was really the turning point. It was 22-15. Warriors after Curry had hit the 3 free throws there, as they end up winning this one by that final in Boston tonight here of 118-112. So 808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Again, the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open. We appreciate everybody filing in into the YouTube chat as well here. How you feeling about this Warriors team? Do you take them more seriously now? You knew they were going to be tested not only tonight, but on Friday against Cleveland and Sunday in Oklahoma City, with everything the Celtics had done coming in 7-1, and the Cavs and Thunder still among the unbeaten in the NBA. So hell of a win here for the Warriors on this Wednesday night in Boston. Some other thoughts on this one before we get to the phones and to the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. We talked about the start. The Warriors were really trying to trap Jason Tatum early, but they started ice cold, missed their first 5 shots. The Celtics weren't exactly lighting it up either, but 1 of 11 and 0 for 5 from 3. The Warriors were turning it over. Celtics not shooting it well, as I mentioned, to begin the game. And again, they just really did it with their defense, forcing 5 turnovers in the first 8 minutes. Gary Payton II is the first player I wanted to point out in this game because he, I thought, almost single-handedly when he entered the game for Trace Jackson-Davis, prevented things from getting worse and getting out of hand right there with his defense immediately. Buddy Hield, a couple of 3-point makes. Jonathan Kuminga, a lefty layup, and it's 19-19. And all of a sudden, the Celtics did get the final 5 of the first quarter, but a good defensive quarter for the Warriors. Curry was allowing others to get involved. The Celtics were trying to maybe take him out of it. Only 2 shots for Curry, but you knew Curry was going to get going at some point later on. Wiggins struggling offensively in quarter number 1, but I thought Wiggins all night long played really good defense. And again, I think that's the story of the night is the individual and team defense for the Warriors, as the great Greg Silver had mentioned. Second quarter, Kuminga, big shot in the game. Hit a lucky late shot clock heave, had to take it because the buzzer was going to go off and his prayer was answered. Warriors then got another big contribution in the first half in an unlikely way from an unlikely source, and that was Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson, 3 threes, a third 3, and that was the first part of the Warriors' run in that second quarter to move from down 5 to up 4. Wiggins would force the Warriors up by 6. And again, I think among the other conversations about all the different ways that the Warriors were tested tonight and responded, it's, hey, this is a really good Celtics offense that has a superstar in Jason Tatum, although somebody that can turn the basketball over. How would the Warriors defense respond against an elite team, period, but a team that analytically can light it up with the best of them in the NBA, in the Celtics? And the Warriors were toe-to-toe and competitive throughout the course of the first half. They were really blitzing Jason Tatum. We talked about the adjustment that the Celtics would make in quarter number 3, but the Warriors really had a nice game plan to limit the 3, get the ball out of Tatum's hands, maybe force him into some turnovers. Celtics with 5 more turnovers in the second half. And again, GP2, Buddy Hield, and I think Kuminga, who took some erratic shots, played excellent defense. He finished a couple at the rim. Really, it was his 2-point jumper tonight that wasn't there. He hit a couple of layups. He hit a couple of threes, but struggled with the pull-up game from 2 in this one. But his spirit was there. His energy was there. His confidence was there defensively. And the Warriors really needed it. It was Mike Breen said this on the ESPN telecast. He thought it was the best defensive half that any team has played this season when you look at 40 for the Celtics in the first half, with the Warriors holding that 51-40 lead. 40 for the Celtics in the first half, and for the Warriors to do it, impressive stuff here. Celtics did get it going in quarter number 3. That's when the game flipped, but the Warriors got hit a little bit with the offensive rebounding. Celtics were really hitting them on the glass. We saw the Rockets have some success with some second chance threes, some rebound kick out threes. Tatum more one-on-one and less trying to go with a screen that was basically allowing the Warriors to more easily defend and take Tatum out of the game. But the Celtics got Tatum going in the third. Curry, though, got rolling in the third. And I thought Jonathan Kuminga had a big stretch. He had a big driving layup in the third and then hit a 3. Both teams got the offense going. The second chance points in that quarter helped flip it for the Celtics. And you thought, okay, all right, let's look at if the Warriors now up 1 going to the fourth quarter can win in a really difficult environment. And the Warriors answered the bell. We'll get into some fourth quarter thoughts here coming up momentarily. 808 KNBR 415-808-5627 as the Warriors win it 118-112. It is Dubs OT with JD here on The Sports Leader. Let's get it rolling with Drew Down on the phones here on The Sports Leader. Hey, what's going on, Drew Down?
Hey, what's going on, JD? Man, just an incredible win tonight. I'm not gonna lie, man. When it was 95-88, I didn't say we couldn't win, but it was was looking a little ugly, but this team's their ability to just never give up and their grit, it was awesome to see. When GP2 checked in the first quarter, I was a little apprehensive because we couldn't hit water if it fell out of a boat. But like you said, man, his energy and all that definitely changed the game. And how about that slow-mo heat check in the first quarter? That had me rolling, man. The slowest heat up I've ever seen in my life, but that was great to see. That had me laughing. But this defense, man, is this Jerry Stackhouse? Is this just a different personnel? But the way this team is defending it kept them in the game, even in that first quarter when they weren't shooting. So I love to see that defense. And I thought Wiggins, he was missing everything early. That fast break layup he missed was pretty embarrassing. But his defense on Tatum I thought was great. And then, man, Buddy Hield, 6 of 11, hit that 3-pointer to put us ahead by 7 with 47 seconds to go. Everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I don't know, man. I love Buddy Hield. I love the way he's playing for this team, and he just seems like a gamer. And I hope he might not shoot 50% all year, but I'm loving him, and Curry loves him too, man. And just strength in numbers. And then as the great Bob Fitzgerald once said, "Do you believe now?"
Thanks, Drew Dan. Appreciate you, brother. Drew Down's line open. We got a couple of lines open here, 415-808-5627, as the Warriors improve to 7-1. Yeah, Kyle Anderson, heat check 3 going in, as Kyle Anderson gave the Warriors a big-time lift, 9 of his 11 points in that little stretch there. He played really good defense. And look, as far as the defense goes, it's part Jerry Stackhouse, and I think the Warrior players and Steve Kerr have really credited Stackhouse for accountability and being able to guide them to a much, just much more of a consistent intensity as it relates to the defense. But so I think that is a part of it, but it's also, I think, the personnel. I think this team just has better defenders. They have more length. They have, guys like Gary Payton II is back and healthy. That's significant. Andrew Wiggins is back and engaged. The combination of Trace Jackson-Davis and Draymond Green on the front line makes the Warriors as a team better defensively, but it also makes Draymond Green better defensively individually, because he can play at the 4 and has another big and a rim protector out there with him. I mentioned Kevon Looney. How big are the putbacks from Kevon Looney in the fourth quarter, in addition to the 10 rebounds, 6 offensive boards, +4, some really good defense himself. But Looney, with a couple of putbacks, with the Warriors up by 2 to put them up by 4, 104-102. He made it 106-102 off a Draymond Green missed 3. And then a Curry missed 3. Buddy Hield got the board. Curry then missed a layup, but Looney was right there for the putback again, 108-104. And then Buddy Hield with what proved to be the dagger after that in the fourth, after the Warriors had come back from being down 95-88, with the Celtics at that point flipping the game after the Warriors had been up 14. 21-point swing there for the Celtics to go up by 7, and then another 13-point swing for the Warriors to win this one, 118-112. Hell of a win for Golden State. And again, you can look at just about everybody in the box score for the Warriors, and they made a significant impact, including Stephen Curry. 27 season high to this point, 27 for Stephen Curry. 9 assists, 7 boards, 4 steals to go with a block. And not a lot cooking for Steph in the first quarter, but he got it rolling as the game went on, and 7 big free throws, including the 3 that we talked about in that fourth quarter when he got fouled on the 3, where it looked like the Warriors caught a break with the Kevon Looney illegal screen not being overturned upon review. But you know what? If the officials aren't going to call it, you take advantage of it. And that was a big part of the momentum changer in that fourth quarter for the Warriors to move from 7 down to ultimately win the game, outscoring the Celtics 36-31 on their home floor in the fourth quarter to prevail and improve to 7-1 and win this game by 6. But yeah, Curry, big time impact in this one. Wiggins defensively all night. He got the offense going in the second half. Draymond Green doing what Draymond Green does, a little bit of everything. I thought Kuminga, despite some of the shooting issues, I thought he was he ended up on -2, but I thought he played better than a -2 tonight. I thought his defense was good in 18 minutes. Couple of big buckets, the one lucky three that I mentioned, the couple of layups, lefty layups at that were important. And again, I thought his motor was in a place where you want it to be. Kevon Looney, massive putbacks. Kyle Anderson hitting the 3 threes in the second quarter, in addition to basically being the backup point guard for the Warriors, not having Brandon Pajemski. And then Buddy Hield, what else can you say? 16 points, second leading scorer along with Wiggins after Curry, 16 for Buddy Hield. And then GP2, we talked right off the top. He was the first Warrior player that I thought helped flip the momentum of the game after the Celtics got off to the big time start. So hell of a win for the Dubs. Let's get it. Let's continue on the phone lines with Danny in Vancouver here. 808 KNBR is the number. Danny, you're on the Sports Leader.
Hey, JD, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well. Good to hear from you tonight. That is a heck of a win.
Statement win, no doubt. It's interesting. I thought I just so friggin' impressed with their defense in the first quarter, and I just thought even though they were just shooting terribly, I love the fact they were playing such good D. I just felt like they were going to hang around, and it felt like the old Warriors. When their defense was so suffocating, they can work through this poor shooting at the beginning. So that was great. I also thought they had a chance to win tonight. I really did. I know Brown was out, so that helped, but I thought they could win. And everyone played great. I don't think I can criticize anyone. I just thought everyone was great tonight. Curry was Curry, and everyone just pitched in. I'd like to see Waters get a little more involved. I think he plays well and he's smart out there. I'd like to just see him get unleashed a little bit more. And last point is, I think now they're playing with house money. So even if they don't win anymore on the road, it's been a huge success. Obviously, 2-3 would have been good. 3-2 is going to be great. Maybe we can even sneak in 4-1. Thanks again, JD. Love the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Danny. I mean, to me, it was all about win the first 2 if you can. And I didn't think Houston was going to be a picnic. But if you could get Houston, Washington's the game on paper that you must get. I think you could make the case that Warriors played their worst game of the 3 in Washington. 31-point lead at one point in Houston before things got crazy and they had to win the game in overtime. But they were able to withstand kind of a dud in DC, and we're ready to go tonight. I mean, we had the discussion after the game on Monday about, is this team serious, and are you super serious about this team? That was our question of the night on Monday. But the reality of the situation is the Warriors came out like they wanted this one tonight. They came out like they had something to prove tonight. They came out looking like a hunter against a team that now, as a defending champion, the Celtics, is going to be hunted every night. That, to me, felt like a team on the come that used to come into Chase Center or Oracle back in the day and put on that best effort because they want to show on the national stage that maybe the window isn't closed, or maybe at the very least that this team can make some noise. And they were able to do it in a big-time way here in this one tonight. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We'll go ahead and take our first break here. We do have a couple of lines open. We'll get back to the phones. We got Sounds of Silver. We got fun with numbers and a lot to get into in the YouTube chat as the Warriors win it 118-112. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Hoops Heads, Dubs OT with John Dickinson keeps balling. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
Now Horford on the switch, 7 to shoot. Curry gets in the lane, kicks it out. Hield the three-pointer. It's good! Bobby Hield from downtown. Timeout, Celtics. The Warriors go up 7.
Steph Curry gets the switch, decides to drive it. You come off Buddy Hield to help, and Hield nails it.
Yeah, big one from Buddy Hield. 111-104 at that point. Basically the dagger, although Al Horford did make it 111-107. And then how about the free throw shooting? Draymond Green hitting a pair, 113-107. Then Andrew Wiggins hit a pair after Jason Tatum again made it a 4-point game, 115-109. The Warriors fouling Peyton Pritchard on a 3. So Pritchard ended up making it a 3-point game. The Warriors couldn't get the ball inbounded, had to call timeout, then did get it inbounded. Draymond Green winds up with the ball in his hands. He gets fouled, which I think the Celtics are loving that in a 3-point game, thinking, hey, if there's anybody on the Warriors roster that has the potential to miss 2 free throws, it would be Draymond Green. And Draymond Green able to split the pair, missing the first one, hitting the second one. So a little bit of drama there, 116 to 112, but that basically iced it. Warriors get another stop. Couple of more free throws at the end, and they end up prevailing 118 to 112. Here as we welcome you back, Dubs OT with JD on KNBR, the sports leader. Warriors are 7-1 on the year and 3-0 on this road trip with stops in Houston, Washington, and Boston in the books, and Cleveland and Oklahoma City Friday and Sunday still to come. So we're reacting to this one. Let's continue on the phone lines. Couple of lines open, but we get it rolling here with Eric and Millbrae, our tip-off caller in segment number 2 here on the Sports Leader. What's up, Eric?
So, JD, that was a cool game to start off. Grinds out defensive battle, and I just hope the way the Warriors really got everything to go.
Eric, hey, we got a bad connection, man. Give us a call back. We'll get you to the front of the line. We'll let you continue that. So give our guy Greg Silver a call back in the studio. From Eric, though, we'll get Fossey in the East Bay in here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Fossey.
Yes, sir, JD. What's up?
What's going on, my man? Good win for the Dubs, doing it with defense. I heard that part of Eric's call before it kind of flamed out on us here on this Wednesday night. And, depth and defense. I think that has been the key to the Warriors' success here the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, man, let's give our hats off to Steve Kerr, the bad man in Boston right now, man. I know everybody is not happy with Steve Kerr over there, but he went with GP2 and Kevon Looney tonight, man, and they showed up big on defense. But the main reason why I wanted to call, man, is strength in numbers, man. I know Steph Curry, he wasn't going to leave Steve Kerr hanging. I knew he had Steve Kerr's back tonight, and so did Draymond. But man, we had some big shots from Anderson, man. Slow-mo, man. He had 3 threes in a row, and then Buddy Hield, man. He's still looking like he can shoot the ball, man. Really good. He's been great for us. But yeah, man, strength in numbers, man. We love to see it, man. And you know what? The roster and the depth, man, it's a good problem to have, and we've seen it tonight, man. Cheers, boys.
Appreciate it, Fozzie. 808 KNBR. Fozzie's line open for you if you want to jump in and join the conversation. And our question of the night here in segment number 2, building off of the discussion from Monday, how much more seriously do you take this team now after beating the defending champs?
Dub Nation, it's JD and Silver's question of the night.
Can I ask you a question?
Huh?
And that is our question of the night. How much more seriously do you take this team now after beating the defending champions? I know Jaylen Brown's out. I know Kristaps Porzingis was out. The Warriors didn't have Brandon Podziemski. But this team, I think, in a lot of people's eyes, needed some semblance of a signature win. Hell, they hadn't really even played a bona fide, for sure, we know they're a good team yet. When you go through, I guess the Pelicans, when they're whole, might be. The Clippers haven't been to this point. The Rockets want to be. Washington, Portland, and Utah definitely aren't. And then you roll into Beantown against the defending champions. So how much more seriously do you take them after being able to beat the defending champions in what is, without question, here 2 weeks now into the season, the most impressive victory that the Warriors have on the year? And look, the Cavs won again. The Oklahoma City Thunder are still doing their thing in the Western Conference. So you look at this stretch where the Celtics were 7-1 and the Cavs are now 9-0. And you look at OKC 7-0 themselves to begin the season. So if you're thinking, well, the Celtics didn't have their best player, their finals MVP. I still think Jason Tatum is probably by a whisker their best player. But, it is 1 and 1A between the two. And Jaylen Brown, probably their best creator, one of them.
Dude, Derek White is up there for best player. I know he's not like the star, but in terms of just killing other teams, Derek White is really, really, really good.
Yeah, Derek White is a really good player for sure. From the Spurs organization, ends up with Boston. He is a terrific player, without a doubt. And so, again, a lot of talent for the Celtics. But I think, again, if tonight wasn't enough, then we'll catch you Friday, we'll catch you Sunday when the Warriors are in Cleveland and OKC. But I think even winning one of these games of the three with the other two overall, I think it definitely makes an early statement. Not that this Warriors team is necessarily a contender, but I think they are a team that you do have to start to take a lot more seriously as it relates to, hey, they can win a lot of regular season games, because again, they really hadn't come close to beating a quality opponent. Although they did have a couple of wins without Steph Curry, which I think makes the wins against the lesser opponent, Pelicans and Rockets, all the more impressive at that particular point in time. All right, Duck Sauce next year, 808 KNBR in San Jose on the Sports Leader. What's up, Duck Sauce?
JD, what's going on tonight, my man?
What's going on, man? Big win. People you can feel the momentum starting to build, right? I think Warrior fans come into the year, Duck Sauce, just kind of, this could be a middling team. This could be kind of a similar team to the last 2 years. Maybe they like each other a little more, but flawed enough to where you're wondering when they're going to go get the star that maybe gives them a legitimate chance to say they can be a contender. And so I think coming in, people were cautious and yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I think the momentum, though, builds fast here with a team that looks as connected as this Warriors team has. And I think you've got a Warrior fan base that's really waiting to explode and accept this team and start to believe that maybe they do have a chance of, again, title contender. I think it's too early for that, but team that can get in the playoffs and make some noise and maybe win a round. Like I think we can start having that conversation even this early in the season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think you're spot on. Like I was not that optimistic coming into the season, if I'm being honest, but I'm definitely way more optimistic than I was to begin the season. To answer your question on the night, I still am cautiously optimistic just because it is so early still. But, you start a couple of takeaways. Like, to me, the defense is for real. I mean, I thought it was incredible tonight. Obviously, Tatum got off in the third quarter, but I thought Wiggins' physicality and GP2 also coming into the game just wreaking havoc. I thought the way they were blitzing Tatum, in the first half, they just looked great, man. And then the other takeaway was, I feel like how well-rounded they've been. It's allowed Steph to kind of, you almost get the vibe that he's not exuding so much energy as he has in the past. Like he's kind of picking his moments of when to go off, and I think that bodes well for the long term because of, their age and whatnot. And then, excuse me, the other thing is the Celtics, like their bench. I mean, yeah, I know Pritchard's had a good season, but I mean, if you're rolling out Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and I know Porzingis is coming back, so the pecking order will drop. But that bench strikes absolutely no fear in me at all. So when you start, lining them up with other possible contenders, that's something to me to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's all I got, JD. Great win. Thanks, my man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Now, obviously, if Porzingis is playing, then Keita, who had a nice game, is probably coming off the bench. Pritchard, somebody that regularly comes off the bench. I'm with you, Hauser and Cornette, but things do have the potential to change once you get Jaylen Brown back in there, and then maybe Horford becomes somebody that can move around and be a part. Like there's things they can do to lengthen their rotation. I will say, though, when you look at Holiday and White and Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, and then you've got Horford on top of that, like that's a pretty darn good top, 6, 7. and again, maybe not quite what they had going the last couple of years or last year specifically, but I don't know. I still think they're built to win a lot of games in the regular season. And now that they have won an NBA championship, I think, they definitely have the makings of, anytime a team wins it, I always think it in some ways becomes more freeing for a team that next year they feel like they can really get after it. So good stuff. Appreciate Duck Sauce here tonight on KNBR. Let's dig into the YouTube chat here as the Warriors win it.
Hey, actually, before we get fully into the YouTube chat, because I want to do our due diligence on the YouTube chat, I never revealed the official question of the night options. So I wanted to make sure we got that out the way before we were too far deep in the show, because this question of the night has to do with our previous question of the night, actually, and where you were at with that one. So again, Dubs OT question of the night. How much more seriously do you take the Warriors after the win in Boston? Option 1, we have wasn't all in, I am now. Number 2, we have cautious with the colon of no Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis. And then we have option number 3, the JD option. I was never not serious.
Yeah, that is you already can say it right there. That's where I'm going with it. Never not serious. I think this team proved that they were serious even before they played a game on the road against a quality opponent. And this is the first of 3 tonight. But yeah, feel free to weigh in there. 808 KNBR is the number to jump in on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line, as the 408 did here. JD, do you feel the Warriors are becoming increasingly likely to swing a blockbuster trade by the deadline, or is it still way too early to know? Well, the simple answer is it's way too early to know, but I do think it's a fascinating conversation, because I think the better the Warriors are in the lead up to the trade deadline, I do think, and even with wins like tonight, and if they get another one or a couple here in the next 2 games, I do think what's going to happen is, fairly or unfairly, I think the national conversation, the local conversation is going to shift if this team really starts stockpiling regular season wins. It's going to shift to, yeah, they're really good, but they still don't have a second star. You got to take away from some of the depth to get that second star back in the fold. And then that team could have the potential to win a championship. But the better that this team plays leading up to that, I think there does become an internal pull and tug of war as to, hey, you really like this team and don't want to mess up the chemistry. Because if they do continue to get to the point where it looks like, wow, this team has something special cooking in terms of the depth, in terms of the likability of everybody on the roster, I think they're, as much as from a basketball standpoint, everybody would want to take a little bit away from that, or a lot of Warrior fans would, and the pundits are going to talk about it. I think it ends up being, do you really want to mess it up versus go for it? And what's your belief of what the upside is for this team? And I think that's where we still don't know. We still don't know what the exact upside is for this team. And we still maybe don't have a feel for it. Like, what's the ceiling for this team? Like, is it like they've played like a team to this point, given the injuries to Curry and the way that they've played, albeit against mostly bad teams or middling teams? I think they've played like a team that can push for 50 wins in the Western Conference. Now, does that mean you're winning one round and you're out? Does that mean you're winning one round and maybe pulling off an upset, and then you're in a conference finals and you get beat because you still only have one star? I think all of those things are still to be determined, but don't underestimate the internal conversation within the organization if this thing continues down a really positive path as to the debate of whether or not it's worth it to take away from some of the depth and some of the harmony and some of what in the early part of the season has made this team special in an attempt to try to find a star. You also have to find a star that's available for that to even come close to be, to having it be allowed in the conversation. So who is the star that's available? Is it Jimmy Butler? Would you do it for him? Is it Giannis? I mean, those are a couple of the names that have popped up here within the last week. Make no mistake, though, those names and the discussion of the Warriors maybe looking to do something bigger and better, I don't think that discussion's going anywhere. In fact, I think it's only going to get more loud as this team continues to play at a high level, if they continue to play at a really high level. 808 KNBR, if you want to jump in and join the conversation there. We talked about the folks in the YouTube chat, Rebel to Sounds. Jason Mishler, welcome. Kitchen Handy. Bobby War. Buco Sports. Abundance Vortex. Regulator, Michael G. We got Jesus, Mickey D, San Jose Jazz Fan 4, Ebe here. The league is not ready for the Warriors' second quarter blitz. Yeah, the Warriors have really hit teams in the second quarter when they get the bench in the game. I mean, that is exactly where they've won so many of these games. It's the fact that their bench it's not just, hey, the Warriors have a good bench. It's that a lot of other teams in the league have crappy benches. CA, we are so back. Regulator, Buddy, plus 20. Yeah, Brandon IU. Appreciate you. Bobby War, TJD, and Kuminga had rough games. I thought TJD had a rough game. I don't think Kuminga had a rough game. I thought he had a rough shooting game. I thought he took some bad shots. I thought he had some big finishes and a couple of big threes. And I thought he played pretty good defense. Had the bad turnover on the miscommunication with the outlet pass to Buddy Hield, where it looked like Buddy Hield got fouled. Paul, our floor is too high. Team is too deep. This does seem like a high floor team. But I think we're learning more and more about them, and that really is the beauty of this season, is trying to figure out just how far this current group can take the Warriors and what is the right time if they look to make some kind of a change. 808 KNBR. Yeah, Rebel to Sounds. Wiggins' defense on Tatum was good. It was reminiscent of the 2022 finals. It flat out. The Warriors' defense collectively on Tatum, and again, he didn't have Jaylen Brown or Kristaps Porzingis to help bail him out. But the Warriors' defensive game plan against Tatum and their ability to have guys go one-on-one against him was excellent, in addition to all the blitzing that they did. But in particular in the second half, when the Celtics stopped screening for him up at the top as much, the Warriors' man-to-man, one-on-one defense was on point. Jason Mishler, Jerry Stackhouse bringing the noise. Yeah, bringing the noise, bringing accountability. 100%. All right, let's go ahead and take another break. 808 KNBR. Got a couple of lines open. We got Sounds of Silver between now and 9 o'clock. We've got Fun with Numbers.
We got a robust Sounds of Silver.
Yeah, and Greg passed along a note that I'm not going to save for Fun with Numbers tonight as to how the Warriors executed in this game down the stretch. We'll give that to you coming up. This is the best Dubs coverage in the Bay. It's Dubs OT with JD at Greg Silver, 808 KNBR. Thank you to everybody in the YouTube chat. More of your thoughts coming up as the Warriors beat the Celtics 118-112. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is KNBR, and this is Dubs OT with John Dickinson, streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Wiggins can't connect. Moody gets it, puts it up. Bank shot is good at the buzzer. What a turnaround for Golden State. They'll head to the locker room up 11 as they go on a 9-0 run to finish the quarter.
Yeah, 9-0 run to finish the quarter, 32-16 in quarter number 2 after the Warriors found themselves down very quickly in Boston. Mike Breen, ESPN on the call there, 118-112 as we welcome you back. Dubs OT with JD. The Warriors get the win. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. That's the number to give us a call or shoot us a text here as we roll on into hour number 2. The Warriors are 7-1 and 5-0 on the road. They've now beaten Portland and Utah and Houston, Washington, and the defending champion Boston Celtics. Celtics playing just their 3rd home game of the year, but the first home loss for the Celtics, who dipped to 2-1 and 7-2 overall. And if you're not quite a believer yet in what the Warriors are doing in the first couple of weeks of the season, if you need to see more, if you need another stiff test, well, the Cleveland Cavaliers won tonight to improve to 9-0, and that is the team that is next up for the Warriors on Friday. So looking forward to that. And as Greg Silver mentioned to me during the break, the Warriors played the Cavs twice in the early part of the season. In fact, one of those games, I think it was like a year ago yesterday in Cleveland, the Warriors and Cavs played, and it was a pretty ugly Warrior ball game. And then they came home at the end of that week, right around this time, I think it was the 11th, and played them again, and it was ugly that night. And the Warriors really struggled with the size and the length of the Cavs. Well, this is a much better coached Cavs team with Kenny Atkinson, remember him, at the helm for Cleveland. And so this becomes another little mini showdown game for the Warriors against the Cavs on Friday. And then while everybody's watching football throughout the day, and the 49ers in Tampa against the Buccaneers on Sunday morning, another showdown between the Warriors and the Thunder in OKC on Sunday. The Thunder right now up 3 in Denver with about 7 minutes to go in that one, as the Nuggets getting a little test tonight from the Nuggets, trying to go to 8-0. On the season. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Couple of quick notes on this one, and then I want to pass along the one that Greg had shared earlier on during a break. The Warriors doing it again, points in the paint. 52-36 advantage for the Warriors there. The first half turnovers were huge. The Celtics had 10 first half turnovers. They only ended up with 2 in the second half, but the Warriors themselves did a nice job turning those turnovers into points, and the Warriors had a fast break point advantage in this game as well, 17-8, and the Warriors only turned it over 11 times, and 12 is the gold standard really for Steve Kerr. He thinks 12 is an elite number. Warriors only with 11. And again, the Celtics cleaned it up in the second half, which is why they were able to flip the game back in their favor. But 10.5 is brutal and can really do you in. And 5.25, as was the case in the first couple of quarters, really allowed for the Warriors defense to make an imprint on the best team that they've faced to this point on the young NBA season. All right, this note, and I wanted to see here. Where is it? Did I lose it? Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. This note from Greg Silver via StatMuse. The Warriors scored on every possession in the final 4 minutes of the game. Every possession in the final 4 minutes of the game for the Warriors. And I'm looking at, you got a Curry 3, you got a Wiggins bucket, you got a Buddy Hield bucket, another Curry layup, got those big Looney putbacks. And so when the Warriors were not scoring initially, they were getting offensive rebounds and second chances and able to score there. But yeah, the Buddy Hield 3, and then Draymond free throws, Wiggins free throws. Yeah, wow, impressive. That's impressive. And I think that is another test, Greg, for the Warriors. There were all these different tests. How do they handle playing a good team for the first time, really? How do they handle being on the road against a defending champion team? How do they handle getting down 11 early in a hostile environment with this new team that's trying to raise the bar of what the Warriors have been these last couple of years? They handled all of those different. How do you handle when you take control of the game and then start to let it slip away middle of the fourth quarter? But I think another independent of the opponent question is just how do the Warriors execute in close games against anybody, let alone against a great team, because the Warriors really struggled and were a 50-50 proposition in close games. They now have the game at Houston that maybe shouldn't have been as close. They have the win tonight and have been able to execute with some frenetic happenings surrounding them, which I think, especially tonight, you get a lot of credit for, Greg.
So I want to revisit the game ball conversation, which we've been having after all these wins they've stacked up. Tonight, I go with Steph Curry because of what you said. Going in on the road, he's the leader. He wears the crown. He's the scariest person on the floor for Boston. And therefore, when you have him out there, it makes 10 worlds of a difference than if you didn't in a game like this. However, there are also a lot of side game balls to be passed out. So I do think Steph is the head of the snake, and his 27 and the clutch shots he hit to get them back in the game and keep them afloat when they were down 8-7 there in the fourth quarter. I give it to him. But you also got to acknowledge Buddy Hield for the plus 20, which is pretty insane. And his, dagger-ish. It wasn't really a dagger, but the big shot to put him up 7 with 46 seconds to go.
Oh, I think that counts as a dagger.
You think it counts as a dagger? I think it counts as a dagger because they made their free throws.
Yeah, I think it counts as a dagger. A dagger does not have to be like the game is over. You can hit a dagger and still, I think, wind up losing the game or have the game be close. Like,
ooh, interesting. Okay, I like this conversation.
I think you can. But when you win the game, and the Celtics never got the ball with an opportunity to tie the game after that. So I think that there is maybe a conversation to be had about the first part of that. But I think in this specific instance tonight, you can retroactively assign a shot like that to be a dagger. So I think that was a dagger.
Okay, so I like the discussion there. There's a little bit of a definition on a dagger. Regardless,
808 KNBR does Buddy Hield's shot qualify as a dagger?
Regardless of that, Buddy Hield for sure gets one of the side game balls. I think Kuminga played a pretty solid game outside, not shooting the ball very well in the 2-point range. He's hitting those threes. Gary Payton II absolutely gets one for being a steadying force very early in the game. And you got to show some love to Moses Moody for pushing the run at the end of the half there and just kind of being ready. He even went for a poster there when the Warriors were 1 of 11 from the field, which I thought between temperament and size, that was the least Moses Moody play I had ever seen, and I loved it. And Kevon Looney, I'm always going to show some love to Loon. Those two follows between Draymond's, tipped 3 ball from the corner, Looney cleaning that up, and then cleaning up the Steph layup shortly after. He had 4 points on the night. 4 of the biggest points came from Looney, and now he is a lot more playable for Steve Kerr, like we discussed in the last show. You can understand why Steve wants him out there if he's going to be contributing in ways like this.
Yeah, he has been impactful every time Steve Kerr's looked to put him in. I mean, I thought in the middle of the summer that he was going to be somebody that the Warriors would look to move, even if they were going to honor his contract for this season. But I think they found a value in some guys that I think, to me, Looney and GP2 have been the two guys that you could make the case if they were ready to move on from, given the way last year went and just the availability issues specifically for GP2. Hey, got to get younger, got to get more mobile, let's say, and just, be available. And the Warriors said, no, you know what? Let's go get some other guys and keep those guys around. And like that's part of the story as to how they built this superior depth, is the fact that GP2 and Looney have made themselves more impactful and useful. And then you went and got Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson. And now, Moses Moody, I think Moses Moody started tonight, only 14 minutes, but he helps you with 9 points and 6 boards. So you go out and you get the Buddy Hields and you get the Kyle Andersons, and you wind up in a situation where you have guys that maybe you were going to give up on. DeAnthony Melton, I think, will enter this conversation too when he's healthy. But you wind up kind of having a spot for everybody. And it goes back to, when I was first covering the NBA, a couple of radio station lifetimes ago, Rick Adelman, who was the head coach of the Warriors like 30 years ago, but he was the head coach of the Kings like 20 years ago. And he always would say, hey, too many coaches look at what certain players can't do as opposed to what they can do. And I think the Warriors took a real open-minded approach to some players that I think the fan base would have been perfectly comfortable if they were gone, and said, you know what, Wiggins can stay. Instead of looking at what Wiggins hasn't done or can't do, we're going to look at what Wiggins can do. And it's be an elite defender. Maybe he gets his shot back a little bit and can help this team. What can Moses Moody do? Well, he can, and these are the ways he can be more. What can Trace Jackson Davis do? Well, he can be somebody that can play next to Draymond Green, and all of a sudden you've got a really formidable front line. What can GP2 do? Well, maybe GP2 can't be your 7th man, but he can be your 9th or 10th man that maybe is one of your 1st or 2nd subs and play 16 to 18 minutes a game. Same thing with Kevon Looney. You're maybe not going to start him, but he can be one of your 3 bigs if you're going to have 3 bigs on a roster. So it just, they looked at what, Buddy Hield's a great example. Think of, and I'll admit I'm as guilty of this as anybody. You look at what Buddy Hield can't do. Can't pass, isn't a good defender, all these different things on his resume throughout the course of his career. Well, the Warriors didn't take that approach. The Warriors said, hey, he's an elite shooter, and we'll try to put him in positions where he can be highly successful. So they've taken let's look at what players can do and how they can help and fit approach, as opposed to, this guy didn't fit, that guy ain't going to work, this guy didn't play well, he's got to go. And I think they've benefited from it. That's how you go from having 6 or 7 playable guys to 11 or 12 or 13, as the Warriors have had at different points here. All right, 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. Still time to jump in. Do we have Eric and Milbray back? Is that right? All right, before we let's get Eric and Milbray back here on the phone lines, and then we'll pause, and then we'll get to Sounds of Silver and fun with numbers and all that. But I do want to sneak Eric and Milbray in here. We appreciate you calling back. Eric, how are you tonight, my friend?
Line there dropped off. Just about this game, defense. I thought that's what kept the game when it's like Celtics really going to start to pull away. I just love the way the Warriors locked in. And I think that's the key that really took the Celtics out of element, especially at home when they dominate teams. It really suffocated them, and it really kept me in that low score first half. I just thought the execution in the second half was a masterclass. As you mentioned, starters were excellent. not just Curry. I thought Wiggins there was, and then you talked about Looney was huge there down the stretch, hitting a couple of those key putbacks there to really hold the lead off when it looks like the Celtics were trying to rally there to take the lead in the game from the Warriors, and then obviously the play of the game there. But to me, that was a dagger because the Celtics, we know their precision there with the three ball. If Buddy Hield has hit that shot, man, you never know. Things get a little dicey. So in my mind, that's just big time for Curry, breaking them off there in the fourth quarter, really taking over that game, and then Buddy Hield really put the game away. So all in all, just impressive all around there, and to really taking the Celtics where, Celtics are the best home team in the league the last couple of years. They rarely lose games there. So anytime you can go into their building and not outside there, keep them impressive. So I just love the way the Warriors are playing. We'll see how good they are right now. Everything's clicking, and that's what we love to see.
Thanks, Eric. I'm going to jump in, Eric. We got just enough, my man. Your phone was not in a great place, but it was. I mean, you were bare. It was just. Eric was just teetering on the. Oh man, we got to put you on hold again and take you out. I mean, it was just. I mean, we almost couldn't do it like 3 or 4 different times, but I thought he just had enough to meet the threshold of. All right, let's let him get through his point, and we'll extrapolate. On the other side,
every time I had my hands ready to put it down, I heard a little life, and I was like, "That's a good connection." Yeah. Hold on, it was just
and then
like
it wasn't.
Just
and
like
then it was
Kevon
again.
Looney. I didn't want to give up,
Yeah, I'm looking at Greg through the screens here, and Greg's like, "What are we gonna do?" Yeah, well, we're better for it. We're better for giving our guy Eric and Milbrae a shot.
You know why? Because our Dubs audience rocks.
Yeah, our Dubs audience is the best audience. It's the best audience. It's the best Dubs coverage in the Bay. We're going to be back with Dubs OT. We're not going anywhere now. We're keeping this thing going until 9 o'clock here. 808 KNBR if you want to jump in. If you want to shout out a player for game ball tonight. If you want to answer the question of the night, how much more seriously are you taking this Warriors team? That's up on the KNBR socials as well. I do want to get into more from the YouTube chat. Rockin' New Era 84, best YouTube chat in the Bay. 100%. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, we love having newbies in the YouTube chat as well. Appreciate it. This is a community. The YouTube chat on Dubs OT is a community. We are here for the people. More coming up from the YouTube chat. 808 KNBR. Let's go ahead and take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll get to the YouTube chat and then some sounds of silver and fun with numbers and all of that. Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line is open. Warriors win in Boston. What a win against the defending champs. 118-112. It's KNBR, the sports leader.
Did you hear something?
Yeah, like a swoosh.
Yeah.
Dubs OT presents the sounds of silver. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, Sounds of Silver, Dubs OT with JD. John Dickinson here on KNBR, the sports leader. Warriors win 118-112 in Boston. They are 7-1 on the season. Still time to sneak in some calls here between now and 9 o'clock here on the sports leader. CB in the YouTube chat. A couple of quick in the YouTube chat before we get to Greg. Looney saved the day. 2 buckets. Back-to-back misses. 10 boards in 16 minutes. Yeah, we've been really singing the praises of Kevon Looney. Regulator. Celtics didn't shoot well from 3. They live and die by that. Yeah, that is the Achilles heel for the Celtics, although mostly they live by it. But if you can get them in a close game and take away some of their ability to knock down the 3 ball, that is your best chance at beating them. And the Warriors able to do that. Pat H. Celtics got hot in the 3rd from 3 and early in the 4th, but finally cooled down toward the end. 100%. Yeah, a couple of people shouting out. Looney, Irwin Kwong, I just think I witnessed slow-mo shot getting unleashed. Going back to the 3 first-half threes. Yeah, he has games like that. He'll have a random game where you're kind of wondering, like, oh, it just not going well with the shot. And, I mean, it always seemed like he had a few of those games against the Warriors where it's like, wow, he doesn't shoot it great from 3, but he's hitting them tonight. It just, I don't know. It just, I might be projecting there, but it sure seemed like Kyle Anderson had a lot of those random, oh, he's having a good 3-point shooting night against the Dubs over the last couple of years. FL Dubs fan. It's kind of amazing the way all the players seem connected, especially on defense. They play like they have been together a few years. Well said. And again, I think that's where the front office and Mike Dunleavy deserve credit for identifying players that they felt could come in and fit and hiring, really revamping the coaching staff, not only with the addition of Terry Stotts offensively, but Jerry Stackhouse defensively. Basically is the DC and accountabilities coach. And that's paid off. And again, it's complementary. It's young and old. It's different skill sets. They just have a lot more players right now that can pressure the ball. And I think that's where it starts. When you can pressure the ball, you have the ability to be a good defensive team, and you have some length to where guys can float around, and you have a little bit of rim protection. I think all that adds up in a big time way. So more from the YouTube chat coming up here before 9 o'clock, but let's get to Sounds of Silver and bring in our buddy Greg Silver. Hey, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, bro? We're going to do a little bang, bang, bang back to back because we got a lot of cuts. I want to get to them. It was hard to narrow it down. First cut actually was from 2 days ago, and I still think applies today because I was driving in to work and had my friends Tolbert and Copes on the radio, and at 3:37, I had to stop at a light and mark the time to know to go back and get this, which was said by our buddy Tom Tolbert. One of the more bizarre cuts you'll probably hear throughout the season, but it does apply, and I'll just leave it at that.
This team at least has that. They have the ability to not score for a while, but not let you go on a big run because defensively they're going to be they're going to have some teeth this year. They were all gums last year. They're like, nah, 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 nah. This year they have some fangs and they can get into you a little bit.
Yeah, and the fangs were on display in the first quarter and in the first half. But again, if this team was more gums, they would have been down 15 in the first quarter, even with the Celtics not shooting the ball all that well. But they were down 5. They were down 5 because they have fangs. It's a good bonus clip, Greg. I like that one. What else we got tonight?
Yeah, always got to save the little drops. But I thought it was a good point from Tom because it really applied to being down 11 right away. Next two are from Steph Curry. Audio is not quite the sufferable level of the last national game, but there is a little background noise. This is Steph on the keys to victory for tonight's game.
We know Boston's going to keep coming. They, can shoot it from all over the place. Everybody's a weapon or a threat. But we, on offense, took care of the ball, which is something we struggle with historically. But when we have good possessions and good shots, whether we make them offensive rebound and then we get our defense set against that team, that's the only way you can win. And so we controlled that down the stretch.
Yeah, really, really controlled the defense down the stretch. And able to execute the other way, Greg, as you alluded to earlier. And look, the Warriors are very comfortable. The guys that played in the NBA Finals series, Wiggins and Draymond and Steph, and I think even Kuminga, who didn't play a lot, but got some minutes and was on the team. GP2, Moody, even. Some of the guys that were on the team and played in that environment. In the final, if you've played in the finals in Boston, you can play a regular season game in Boston in November. And so I think tonight for the Warriors, to me, Greg, this game was fun. They were unaffected by the environment because you're never going to go through anything more hostile. I know there was a lot about Jason Tatum and the Celtics fans are going to be all worked up and they've got it in for Steve Kerr and all that. 2022 NBA, you play the finals in Boston and win like the Warriors did in game 4 and game 6. Tonight is nothing once you get in a close game in the fourth quarter. And hell, I think you get to that point where Steph starts doing some things in the fourth quarter. And I think the crowd there knows this might not be our night because Steph lives to play in buildings like this when they're electric. And I think, at times tonight, it almost felt like the Warriors were fueled by it. And it actually had them in a better place than, say, Washington, D.C. on a Monday in a game where I think more than maybe any other one this year, they look like they didn't really want to be there. But good defensive effort and a nice win, and they never trailed in the game. So they played pretty well in their own right for having that game be kind of a dud.
That's why he's got my game ball. One more from Steph. And if he was to answer our question of the night, I think he would have said he too was never not serious because this is what he learned about his team, according to the sound.
We're capable of beating anybody. It's hard. You got to embrace the challenge. But this is a different year. We're trying to, take baby steps and develop an identity. Buddy Hield has been playing unbelievable. That big shot he had in the corner was huge. Draymond, Loon, Trace, and in the paint, securing the defensive anchor for us. But everybody's stepping up in their role. We're very deep, and you don't know whose night it's going to be. So I love the vibe that we have. We're 8 games in, long way to go.
Long way to go. Haven't done really anything yet, but continuing to push and continuing to stack. And again, regular season wise, Greg, I think you can get away with not knowing who the number 2 guy is going to be. But as we've talked about so often on these Dubs OT shows, every night, really, it's been somebody. And for the most part, it's been Buddy Hield. And, it's been Buddy and Wiggins, or it's been Buddy and Kuminga. And tonight it was Buddy and Wiggins. And Steph ramped it up. So they've had enough, at least to this point. Now, can you win multiple playoff series doing that? I don't know. We shall see. But so far, so good. This team set themselves up really nicely here to start the year. And 5-0 on the road. I mean, that is something that they started last year, and we'll have the updated number and fun with numbers. But hell of a feat what the Warriors have started to do away from Chase Center.
Well, and it's always going to allow flexibility. It's winning, and they've continued to do that at a very early stage in the season. A few more. We're going to go Buddy Hield first, and then we got 3 quick back-to-back. Buddy Hield, this was a good cut because he was asked if he thought the game was more than just a regular season game. The Warriors sure played like it. This is what Buddy Hield had to say about it.
Well, what do you think? It's just a statement. If we don't win this game, everybody's like, "Oh, they didn't play nobody," So you got to come make a statement, right? And on the road, so that's how the basketball world talks. They say we haven't played nobody yet, so we battle tested and got to see if it's real.
There you go. Yeah, you got to. I mean, look, I think Buddy Hield speaks for everybody in that whether you believed in what the Warriors were doing, at some point you got to do it when you play a quality opponent. And I know there was a note in the YouTube chat, and I'm on a different screen here at the moment, so I don't have exactly who said it, but I was just looking at it a couple minutes ago, and we had this the other night. It was, could have easily, it was Rockin' New Era 84. This game last year, the Warriors would have easily lost. And I agree with that. Like they even up 5 in the final minute, they lost a couple of games that way. But the way I view it is the Warriors didn't beat a lot of good teams last year. They really didn't. Like they just like that was, they got on some runs. They ended up winning 46 games. But really, every time they started to put it together a little bit against some bad teams or mediocre teams, they would, for the most part, and there were some exceptions. Phoenix game the night before the Super Bowl was one. But every time they would almost put it together, the Warriors would ultimately, they'd lose to Denver. Something would happen. They'd lose. They'd just lose to somebody good. Boston would drill them by 50 in March. And so now, I mean, again, that to me, like, this is all right. New year, new team, first opportunity against a really good team, and you handle business after you're down early and you execute down the stretch. So hell of a win. All right, let's go a little rapid fire here, and then we'll pause before we do fun with numbers.
Couple from Steve Kerr, and then one from a non-Warrior. This is Steve Kerr talking about how great they were the last 5 minutes of the game.
I saw the last 5 minutes. I thought our defense really showed up. The activity, Gary getting on the floor, Loon getting 2 putbacks. Those were maybe the 2 biggest shots of the game. And then Steph finding Buddy in the corner for that 3. I mean, it was all in sequence. It just felt like we connected the game, got stops, and were able to get scores and close it out.
Yeah, offense and defense very well connected. I thought, again, the defense, you're not always going to be able to execute at the level that the Warriors did down the stretch in terms of big shots, layups, offensive rebounds, free throws. Like they really did it all. But the thing that gives you a chance on the nights where you don't is the ability to stop the opponent, to prevent them from getting on that 6 or 8-0 run that winds up putting the game away. And so the Warriors were able to do that in this one tonight. All right, let's hit a couple of more here.
One more from Steve Kerr, and I liked this one because it touched on one of the points I made in segment number 1, which was they got back into the game with their defense, and that's where having a 13-man rotation, which was down to 11 tonight, no Podziemski, no Melton, works in your favor because everybody goes out and runs like their pants is on fire. So here's what Steve had to say on that.
If we're playing a bunch of guys 15 to 22 minutes, they should be able to go all out during those minutes. And I think we're getting that. Tonight was probably the first game we had 3 guys over 30 minutes. So the game kind of settled into a more traditional NBA game down the stretch. We had Wiggs, Draymond, and Steph out there all playing big minutes. But I thought Gary and Buddy just kind of tag teaming offense, defense, and then Loon, he's made so many big plays for us over the years. I thought his minutes were just massive down the stretch.
Without a doubt. Huge. And the 4 points on the 2 putbacks. And again, just you talk about somebody who was out there in Boston in the big moments in that final series, and Kevon Looney was right there and a part of it and isn't going to be thrown by it. And so somebody that Steve Kerr trusts, the other championship era players trust. And so he was out there making a positive impact.
Last one is from Jason Tatum, because he was asked if being snubbed in the Olympics, snubbed, I guess, in the sense of playing time, was on his mind tonight. I have a comment about this whole thing, but I'll let you get to it first. It's a quickie.
It wasn't on my mind. just another Wednesday, another game, another opportunity to come in and try to be the best player I can be, and another day to just try to get a win.
All right. You believe him? I don't believe him.
I don't believe him, but I also don't think the whole narrative around it is Jason Tatum's fault. I think this actually, and I'm not even trying to be hyperbolic, I think this might be the stupidest storyline in sports in my entire life. Because
whoa.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you haven't been alive for that long, but
for how long it has been dragged out. Let's just review a couple of bullet points. Jason Tatum didn't play a lot at the Olympics. He also was 0 for 16 on shots outside the paint. He also was playing behind Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Derek White and Drew Holiday played a lot of minutes because they were good glue guys. Devin Booker was the only star player that filled the role player thing so perfectly that allowed him to get a lot of minutes. Oh, and by the way, the United States won a gold medal. Any of this is on the table if the United States lost any game in that tournament outside of the group stage. But guess what? They didn't. And so it doesn't matter. And Celtics fans are the only people in the entire country fresh off of a championship who are making this a thing. Might be the stupidest storyline in my 25 years of living.
Wow, Greg Silver, ladies and gentlemen. Greg Silver, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even gonna. I mean, I don't really have a rebuttal. I'm not good. I don't think a rebuttal is necessary. Maybe we'll bring somebody on from Boston at some point, and they can have a rebuttal. But all right, I appreciate it. Strong take. We'll kind of let it sit there. Like I think it's one of those things that 2 years from now, nobody's even really going to remember it. and 10 years from now, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, Tatum won multiple gold medals, and it just isn't even a thing. So,
and Jason Tatum is a great player and is the best, if not co-best on his team. And I'm rooting for him to do well as a guy. Seems like a good guy.
Do you want to have Jason Tatum and Celtics fans be ticked off at you if you're Steve Kerr, or do you want to not win the gold medal and have the entire United States of America ticked off at you?
See, like the fact that that's a question is why I just bury my face in my hands.
I mean, the answer is easy, but I digress. All right, well, let's pause here. Great sounds of silver. 808 KNBR. If you want to jump in here, but we will come back with some fun with numbers, and we will call it a night as the Warriors win in Boston, 118-112. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
This is Dubs OT with JD. Time now for fun.
I'm a fun guy.
With numbers.
No, I'm just having fun.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, final segment. Warriors win at 118-112 in Boston. They are 7-1, 5-0 on the road. Best road start for the Warriors since 2015-16. That was the 73-9 team that won their first 14 games away from home. They were 24-0 before losing their first game overall on the season. Going back to last year, we keep updating this every night, and the Warriors keep winning every night. 22 of the last 26 on the road, which is a hell of a feat. And again, and one that goes back to the Durant era Warriors with Steph Curry and Draymond and Klay Thompson all in their respective primes. From the end of the first championship season with Durant through January of 2018, the second year that Durant was with the Warriors. So impressive beginning away from home. They're 7-1 for the first time in 3 years. So I think we are, with the win tonight, officially not in that we're going to declare this team a championship contender. But tonight was the first time that I really, Greg, gave some plausible thought to, hey, this team reminds me a little bit of the 2021-22 team. That team started 11-1 and 18-2. So we'll see. And a couple of really difficult games to come in Cleveland and in Oklahoma City. But this team's starting to give me a little bit of those kinds of tendencies. By the way, the Oklahoma City Thunder did lose tonight in Denver. Nuggets beat them 124-122. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had an opportunity to tie it late, but Denver enough down the stretch to win that one. All five of their starters in double figures. No Jamal Murray. Russell Westbrook started, scored 29. So they needed all of that for Denver to win by 2. Thunder 7-1, the same record as the Warriors. So the Warriors now best record in the Western Conference, tied with OKC. So that showdown potentially Sunday continues to be a possibility. 6 different starting lineup for the Warriors this year. The Celtics, the 41-point third quarter, that was not one of the bright spots for the Warriors. Warriors also got their second double-digit comeback of the season, trailing by as many as 11 in the first quarter. And again, up next, it's showdown. The Cavaliers are now the lone unbeaten team in the NBA, 9-0. They won tonight, and that is the next game for them on Friday in Cleveland. Stephen Curry, 27 points, 9 assists, 7 boards, 4 steals. Curry passed Charles Barkley for 30th on the NBA's all-time scoring list. I always think as Curry continues to work his way up the list, it's just always going to be some legend that he ends up passing. So tonight, Sir Charles. I think that's also a indicator for those who didn't know. And Greg, you're probably too young to remember. I think Barkley's last year was the year you were born. So you wouldn't be. Charles Barkley's a pretty damn good player. And so, yeah, Curry tonight surpassing Chuck on the all-time scoring list in the NBA. And he ended the game also jumping another spot, although this is an ongoing battle. You know who else Curry went ahead of tonight, although has, I think, fallen behind in the time since the Warriors game ended?
Who's that?
DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan. So, yeah, he ended the game ahead of DeRozan. DeRozan's playing the Raptors right now in Sacramento. And DeMar DeRozan has 16 points. So, yeah, him and Curry are kind of volleying back and forth there. My money's still going to be on Curry, but yeah, what a career for DeRozan. And so, yeah, that your fun with numbers for tonight. I thought the big one was the Warriors the last 4 minutes. You get the stat of the night tonight which is the Warriors scoring on all of their possessions in the final 4 minutes. That is how you win a big game on the road against the defending champions.
Didn't they also go no turnovers on fourth quarter?
None in the fourth quarter. That is correct. No turnovers in the fourth quarter. There was a point, and again, not a lot, but there were a couple of the Steph, Draymond, like, what the bleep are you doing turnovers throughout the game, but none in the fourth quarter. And we've seen some games get away from the Warriors in some fourth quarters where that is the case. So, yeah, final quick thought to you, Greg, and we will call it a night, and we will reconvene on Friday after the Warriors take on the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Good win for the Warriors. They are definitely serious. These next two are going to be some big ones as well. They can't let the Cleveland Cavaliers chase that 73-9. And in all seriousness, just... In all seriousness, appreciate you, JD. Appreciate Jacob Violante back in the studio. Austin Scott helping out in studio tonight, doing a lot of great digital work, and just continue to be good to one another. I really love the chat space because of how awesomely positive it is, and it is a community. But whether it's in the online space or you see people out in the street or you see your neighbors, it costs nothing to be a good person. So just go and do that.
Yeah, do that. Well said. Our Dubs OT question of the night, wrapping up here as we leave the airwaves. How much more seriously do you take the Warriors after the win in Boston? Big Primo, by the way, didn't even, maybe he voted in the actual poll, but he left a comment, which was, I was in from the preseason, all in from the preseason. Cautious, 45% the final vote. Never not serious, 32% of the vote. And wasn't all in, but am now with 23% of the vote. The final tabulations, still more precincts set to report here over the next day or so as far as our Dubs OT question of the night. For Greg and Jacob and Austin, I'm JD. We'll talk to you Friday, right around 7 o'clock after Niners Nightly. Warriors win over the Celtics. We'll talk to you Friday. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Now Horford on the switch, 7 to shoot. Curry gets in the lane, kicks it out. Hield the three-pointer. It's good! Buddy Hield from downtown. Timeout Celtics. The Warriors go up 7. The Golden State Warriors win their 5th in a row. They're now 7-1 and remain perfect on the road. 5-0 on the road.
Oh, hell yeah.
First of all, you got to start off liking each other.
I'm super cereal.
Big fat dub.
Ain't nobody going to stop me.
I just wake up and I can shoot it no matter if I'm playing or not.
Who are these guys? This is a statement win early in the year on November 6th for the Golden State Warriors.
When we have a live post-game show, we're undefeated right now.
I love you, JD. Bye, sugar.